Did they make
No,
contact?
no. It's pretty close, but this is going to be a drag race.
Look at this.
Moves him to win it. Carl Edwards bump and dump and run.
Here comes Gordon right up to the bumper again.
You hear that wheel spin, Ben?
Yeah, I did hear that wheel spin.
The bump and run.
There it is.
Gordon underneath to the lead. 2 laps to go. But the bump and run is going to get Jeff Gordon the checkered flag at the end of the winless streak. Gordon wins the Sharpie 500 at Bristol.
And Maine really turned around, made a Riley's cage up.
Yeah, welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Daytona Ron. Matt proudly showing his Chase Elliott hoodie. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a Chase Elliott type of weekend because he was the big winner down in Austin, Tejas for the EchoPark Texas Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas. Matt, I know you got a big smile. No, you probably didn't want to see the win the way it happened. Of course, it was a rain-shortened race. We'll get into it. But I want to know, how was your guys' weekend in general? How'd you enjoy the Cota weekend?
It was fun. It was new, and there's obviously a lot to break down this week with everything that went down.
Yeah, it was a wild weekend of racing for sure. You know, some good, some bad, and we came out of the weekend with some new information, and I'd love to see where NASCAR goes from this point forward.
Absolutely. Big weekend to talk about. Of course, we saw the return of practice and qualifying. I know we were all very excited about that. We saw a brand new road course, and from what I saw, I enjoyed. We'll get into it with the race grades.
Bits and pieces.
I saw the gold and silver in the gray clouds that surrounded Texas this whole entire weekend. Of course, a whole bunch of rain. We'll talk about that. But first, do you guys want to jump into the NASCAR news?
Sir.
All
Let's
right.
hear it.
Just announced, I heard this today, Charlotte Motor Speedway is going to be allowed to run at full capacity this weekend for the Coca-Cola 600. I know they're at a sellout already with their limited capacity, so more tickets going on sale. If you're listening and you're heading down to the Carolinas for the Coke 600, well, you're in luck because you're going to get some tickets.
I have a question, quick question.
Yeah.
Was before this news, was Pocono supposed to be the first race with full capacity? Or were there other tracks in between that were going to run full capacity?
I'm not exactly sure. I know Pocono was one of the first to announce it.
Okay.
I want to say, no, Atlanta was announced
maybe
for full capacity, but I think that race is in July.
Yeah, right. Well, the only reason I asked is
I
because
want to say Cota was at full capacity this weekend, though. Their crowd
it sure looked like it.
Yeah, down in Texas, they most likely were at full capacity.
Okay. The only reason I asked
believe
is
they
because, yeah, I mean, awesome for Charlotte. I can't wait to see a full crowd there, and I'm hoping that there will be. But I was kind of like, oh man, it would be so cool if Pocono, the race that we're obviously going to be at,
was the first one with
full
full
race
fans.
capacity. But
Yeah.
it'll still be cool. It's good news that we're heading out of this thing as far as the pandemic goes.
Oh yeah, making progress every day. Las Vegas also announced their playoff race is going to be at full capacity. So anyone that wants to travel down to Sin City to see a playoff race will be able to do so. Let's see. Speaking of the Carolinas, North Carolina governor proposes $30 million to be split between Charlotte, Rockingham, and North Wilkesboro. Now, that's all federal money that's coming from the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. It's supposed to go to schools, healthcare, and other institutions. $45 million of the $3.87 billion NC will receive is proposed to use for tourism. And the governor looking to take $30 million of that money, give it to the speedways down in North Carolina. I've got a question later on in the pickling segment, so I'm not going to jump too far into it yet. But I thought that was pretty interesting. I know a lot of people really pushing the save the speedway. Everyone wants to save North Wilkesboro Speedway. I was surprised Rockingham was mentioned in that. And of course, some money going to Charlotte, and I'm sure they'll be able to use it accordingly. Let's see, another short track wet weather tire test just so happens to be running tomorrow in Richmond. And well, I think we'll jump into that in the Pick a Lane segment too, because we had a rough one on wet weather tires yesterday.
We definitely got a lot of information yesterday.
Yes, we did. We collected a lot of data watching the race. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. And the biggest news to break in the NASCAR world this past week, Brad Keselowski on Tuesday came out. He's officially, well, no, he hasn't officially been offered a owner-driver ownership with Roush Fenway Racing, but per sources close to the story, which basically means it's official, Brad Keselowski is looking at the chance to be an owner and driver for Roush Fenway Racing. And I just want to know, what do you guys think about that?
I mean, that's one of the biggest news stories that the sport has had in quite a while. Just off the top of my head, it's a huge story.
Huge bomb.
A future Hall of Famer in Brad Keselowski. And usually, like, where there's smoke, there's fire. You know, like you said, no one's come out and said yes to this. But when asked about it, I know Brad Keselowski said, "Oh, it's something I can't comment on." So, I mean, to me, that's all but admitting to it. But we'll find out sooner than later. I think, the big question was, well, why would Brad be interested in leaving one of the top tier organizations in Penske and going to, well, let's face it, a smaller, less, how could I put this, fortunate, I guess, team in Roush Fenway.
Yeah.
And the quick and simple answer to that is, the ownership game is a really, really, really enticing thing to a lot of these drivers, especially when they can get into something that's already established, like Roush Fenway. So It's something super, super interesting to watch here.
Yeah, like right now, we keep hearing things about charters. Like the NASCAR ownership prospects are looking very good. And I think this is a great move for Brad Keselowski. I know, like you said, Roush Fenway Racing has not been the Roush of years past, but they were once dominant. They were once a powerhouse in NASCAR, and they ran a lot of cars. I think, before last week when Hendrick Motorsports got that 1, 2, 3, 4 finish, the last person to do that was Roush Fenway back in the mid-2000s. They did it with 5 cars, so there is opportunity. And I feel like Brad Keselowski is a big picture type of guy. He's
one of the smarter minds as far as drivers go in that garage. He has been for a while, and he does like to think big picture. So, and
he's a former team owner too. He had a truck team for years. So I think it's a perfect fit. And the way Roush has been running lately with that 17 car, I mean, he's running in the top 10 a lot lately. And maybe Brad Keselowski is the guy that needs to go over there and really.
I think that's a big thing, is the way that, once Kenseth left and, once Carl Edwards left, everyone kind of had some idea that Roush was struggling. They were not going in the right direction at that time. Kenseth leaves, goes to, Joe Gibbs, has a stellar 7-win season, then Gibbs takes out, and that's the start of the whole Gibbs trajectory there. And Roush at that time, it kind of got left behind. Ricky Stenhouse, hopped into that 17 car, and, he was a rookie after a, back-to-back Nationwide Series championship. So he's a promising young driver. And I think Roush really halted Ricky's career in a way because they were just not in a good position.
The equipment wasn't really there.
Right. They bring Newman in, they bring Kenseth back. They kind of get some things together because they know they have to, in a way, get their shit together. They need to get that. And they bring in the young driver and Chris Buescher, who he's blowing everybody's expectations because everyone thought they wrote Roush right off. They're like, that's a team we don't have to worry about. Chris Buescher said, not so fast. I'm here. And I think Brad sees that in the young, driver and Buescher. And, like you said, Matt, he's such a smart mind as far as NASCAR and engineering and ideas about the sport that I think he's going to go the Tony Stewart route. He's getting older. He could still compete, but he's going to compete for his own team and basically mentor these young people and take over that ownership role. And it just seems to me like this is just honestly the perfect opportunity for Brad and for NASCAR.
Absolutely. And they have that Ford relationship, obviously, which Brad has been in for most of his career. So I think it's a layup. A couple predictions as far as that goes, though, because we're a podcast. What would we be without trying to predict some things, right? I think there's one of two things that's going to happen. Either Matty D slides over from the 21 to the 2, which I would personally love because I love Matty D, or Matty D stays put, and then Austin Cindric goes into the number 2. I mean, especially they've got to be, that Penske stable has to be super excited what they saw all weekend, but specifically yesterday out of Cindric. So
absolutely.
I think those are the two likely scenarios that are going to happen there.
Personally, I would love for Matt DiBenedetto to move over to that 2 car, but I think Cindric would be the one to slide into it. I know he's a rookie, and I know usually they like to put their rookies in that Wood Brothers car, but I can't see.
He's eventually going to make his way to Penske anyway.
Yeah,
he's Penske's go-to guy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He's the guy. He drives the 33 like we saw, on Sunday. Every time there's an opening to get in a cup, Penske puts him in that car. So I do believe that Matty D is warranted and has done enough to deserve to go into the 2 car.
Yeah.
But I think you know how it is.
I think it's just easier.
Austin there. Yeah.
Like why put
Cindric
in the Wood Brothers car to eventually move him over to Penske anyways, when you could just slot him right in there, leave DiBenedetto where he is, and it's just easier for everybody. And you want to know what? As this news broke, it kind of made sense because Matt DiBenedetto, while frustrated that he wants to get that 100th win and his first win, he doesn't seem as deflated after a race as he has like last year when he was really, really worried about his job and all that, so, they have the option to exercise him for another year, keep him in that car. And like you said, Austin Cindric, phenomenal road racer. We'll get into that when we break down Cota. Everything I saw this weekend has me thinking he's going into that number 2. And I think it's a great move for Brad too, also because, he could bring some sponsorship dollars probably to Roush Fenway.
What about Ryan Newman? He's up there. How many more years is he going to be behind that wheel?
Exactly.
So if he does move there, does that entice a younger driver like DiBenedetto as someone that maybe gets, not screwed out of the 2 car,
but gets shuffled out,
Gets shuffled out.
Oh, you never know.
He doesn't go to the 6 car with Chris Buescher, with Brad being there. Now you might have a 3-car team.
Well,
you might have Brad driving his own car. You could have Chris Buescher, who's in the 17, and DiBenedetto in the 6. That's a hell of a fucking team right there.
And that's the question right now too. Do they go to a 3-car team? Do they stick with a 2-car team? Does one of those guys go out? I can't see them getting rid of Chris Buescher.
Brad has a good grasp on what it would take to get a 3rd car, and he's just from being a truck owner. So this move does seem like I'm excited for it, to be honest with you.
They may know something we don't know either with Newman too, because Newman isn't the type of guy who wants all the pomp and circumstance in a last hurrah victory tour either. He might have told them that he intends to.
He's done after this year, and
so you never know what's going on behind the scenes.
You make a great point. You really don't know what's going on behind the scenes until it all happens. It's just fun to speculate, though. You start moving puzzle pieces around. I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I kind of called Brad Keselowski leaving Penske earlier on in the season. I didn't know where, but I didn't think
you had him going to Junior Motorsports.
I had him. Well, I mean, that was my tinfoil hat theory that you never know. But yeah, I mean, he had that 1-year contract, and it seems like he's not the happiest with his teammates over at Penske. So why not jump out? Start to venture on your own, and probably make more money in the process too. So that's basically all we really have for the news section. Let's jump into the weekend at Cota. Of course, we had practice and qualifying, made it real interesting. We saw some different guys up front. And in the truck race, Todd Gilliland going home with the win. Eric, you said you watched a little bit of it. Weren't too impressed with the truck race, were you?
The truck race, it was just they couldn't stay on the track. They were flying all over the place. But I will have to say that probably the best part of that race was the end of stage one. When Todd Gilliland and Gralla were battling, at that, they used up every part of that racetrack that they possibly could, and they put on a show at that stage end. And I kind of looked into it after that, and I'm like, okay, Gralla, like
he's Gralla is a talented driver. He
drove in IMSA, he drove in, for supercars, so he has that road course experience, and he has that racing in the rain experience. I think that had a lot to do with his performance in that truck this weekend. And that was a fun battle to watch, and it was just weather, trucks, new track. It was kind of a disaster of a race, but
a beautiful disaster.
Yeah, perfect way to put it, actually, Matt.
And to your point, Kaz Gralla is, I hope that guy gets a full-time ride somewhere. I've been watching him for a couple of years, being an RCR fan. He ran part-time in the Xfinity Series, filled in for Austin Dillon last year when Austin was out for COVID protocols and everything. So, and he finished in the top 10 in that 3-car on the Daytona road course. So he is an accomplished road racer, and I would love to see him either full-time in a truck or full-time in an Xfinity Series ride. All right.
I have nothing to add. I don't think I saw one lap turn for the truck race. So busy Saturday for me.
Yeah, it was a busy Saturday for me also. I think me and you were both on the road at the time because we were listening on the radio in and out. I was doing some Lowe's runs, and then I had a backyard project to complete during the Xfinity Series race. And speaking of the Xfinity Series race, seemed like it was a runaway. Kyle Busch ran away with it, the big winner in the Xfinity Series. And from what I heard on the radio, it was a better race than the Truck Series race. A lot of good battles with like Harrison Burton, a couple spots back, but Kyle Busch just dominated the whole day.
Yeah, that Xfinity race, after watching what happened with the trucks and a little bit of the weather going on, seeing the Xfinity go dry, it actually made me very curious to see what the Cup was going to be like on Sunday if it went dry. And after the fact now, I am still curious about what it would have been like, because like you said, Whitey, there were some good battles. There was some good racing going on.
Yeah.
I love that Skittles paint scheme. As much as people can hate on Kyle Busch, that's just, to me, that's an iconic Kyle Busch paint scheme. I love seeing that red Skittles car, but it
especially looks cool on that Supra,
it does. It pops off.
It makes that Supra look really fast.
But it showed promise. But then, towards the end, once I think the drivers started figuring out the racetrack, that's when Kyle and, some of the people, better drivers, better equipment, kind of started to run away with it. And that's when I decided to start cutting the lawn. And like you, Whitey, I was doing some yard work. I had that on the TV in the garage, and every once in a while I'd poke in, and Kyle Busch was still leading. And it was just one of those races.
Yeah. I feel weird. Well, I don't feel weird. I wish we were picking our picks last week for the Xfinity Series race, because I would have won. I picked Kyle Busch to win the Cup race. Of course, he did not. The big winner for the Cup race, won Chase Elliott, finally getting his win on the season. It came in a rain-shortened race, and you just got to take it where you can get it, right, Matt?
That's right. I mean, that's going to happen, right? I mean, it's not the way I wanted him to. Yeah, that's the attitude you have to have. A win is a win is a win. It's not the way I wanted him to get it. And Chase even said that after the race. It's the first thing he said was, it's not the way you want to get a win, but you got to take him when you can, any way you can. So I was super pumped. Obviously now it's time to go out there and win, a couple more races, hopefully, just to put all the naysayers to rest. And, I was excited. It was an up and down last couple laps there. First, I'm watching him as they were waiting for Bowman to pit and for him and Kyle, for Chase and Kyle to cycle through. I was watching Kyle and Chase, knowing that very well could have been the battle for the win.
Oh yeah.
And then, Chase eventually got around Kyle, and I'm texting you guys, he got around him. And then the next thing I know, Kyle got back around him, and it was, it was during the commercial break where it was a side by side. So I couldn't really see exactly what was going on. I was just kind of following the ticker.
Yeah.
And I just kept seeing them kind of flip back and forth. And they finally came back to full screen and Chase was leading. And I was like, oh my God, he's definitely going to do this. And then
Like
they
a roller
come out and
coaster
they
of
say,
emotions.
Gustafson comes on the radio and says, we're
gonna be
about
too
2 laps short, which is 7 laps. You can't save 7 laps worth of fuel. It's just impossible.
No.
So I'm like, okay, well, he's going to lose. He's going to probably come in like 10th or 11th when he has to pit and cycle through. So I got all down in the dumps. I'm mad at Alan Gustafson because how could you be that far off? How could how could you let the strategy get away from me that much? And then the rain really started coming down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at some point Gustafson probably knew that and told Chase, stay out there for as long as possible. They might end this thing. And it happened. So a roller coaster of emotions. And I was so happy that he finally got his win.
Yeah, I was happy for him too. I'm glad they stopped the race short for the weather. It was obviously needed. But I do kind of wonder what would have happened if it played out. Would Larson have gotten that win? He was good on gas, but could he hold the lead? There's so many guys like in the mix at the end there, and
Larson would have won.
Larson
would have won.
Larson would have won.
Yeah.
I think he knew that in his press conference too.
Yep.
And he wasn't really that. I mean, he was butthurt a little bit, but like he said, like everyone was done behind that wheel. Like Kyle Busch said it perfectly. Like we're going on 4 hours. Like what are we doing here? Kind of thing. I think if this is if this is any other racetrack, not a over 3 mile road course and a fast road course too. I think they do try to get those Air Titans back out there because one of the things that just rubbed me a little bit was like, okay, you went all day during the bullshit, and I understand, okay, it's 4 hours we're doing this.
Yeah.
But you put up with the bullshit all day. And there was still a lot of light left. You had the rain out there. You ran them when they were hydroplaning. So why not send the Titans out and let them run it? You know what I mean? Like, because it did kind of clear up a little bit. I think they could have got a couple more laps in and pushed it. But like with 14, you went all day. And then with 14 to go, you're going to throw it?
You're going to stop it. Even in the post-race Ross Chastain's interview, he's like, as he was talking, he's like, I think it stopped raining though. I don't know, but he wasn't upset that they
could have called it when him and Ryan Preece were in the lead.
That's true.
Yeah.
Fine if they called it then, and they probably should have called it then too. You know what I mean? But
it's little moments like this that feed into the tinfoil hat guys. Chase, the most popular driver winning the race. They could have called it before or after he was leading.
I don't think that has anything to do with it.
I don't think it had any effect.
I don't either, but I can see why people would feed into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that just to break your balls a little bit, but I really don't think it.
No,
do you guys
I
want?
don't either.
Do you guys want to just jump right into the race grades? I think we're kind of alluding to what we all graded, but I want to know. Eric, what you seem fired up. What was your race grade?
I gave it a C+.
Okay.
A lot of people hated on it. I didn't completely hate it. I'm beginning to appreciate road courses a little bit more.
Yeah.
I just think wrecks aside and everything from the first stage, what I saw, I enjoyed it. I really did. I thought we were going to see some good racing. I thought, oh shit, NASCAR is running it in the rain.
Yeah.
Like this, something that I was pretty excited about it. And then, like we all know, all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
And, it did put a dampen, on my overall grade. Because I think if it did clear up and it did race through, it would have gotten a better grade for me. But overall, I just think, I couldn't give it any lower than a C+. I almost gave it a B. As we were texting each other during the race like that. I go, as of right now, I'm giving this thing a B+, man. This is some exciting,
it was pretty entertaining race. Yeah.
Yeah. The people that stayed out in the beginning, that whole call.
Yeah. Different tire strategies.
And man, did Austin Cindric, I said my favorite part of the race is that first 8 laps. Watching
running
him
away with it
on eight laps
on slicks.
Everyone was going, how is he doing this? How is he doing this? And they were just blown away. And he kept staying out. He's like, come in. He's like, no.
He's like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
It's not that bad. And every other driver can't even handle their car.
Not that bad.
Yeah.
I'm going, oh my God. that was impressive. It really was impressive what he did in that 33 car. And, it's a shame that, the finish that he got out of that day. But overall, I thought it was good, and it wasn't a snoozer. It was exciting.
Yeah.
So, like, the drama of the visibility and all that didn't play a huge role in my grade, because I try, like Matt, hints to, I try not to let certain things affect my overall
just grade the
grade.
race itself.
Grade the race itself. Try to look at it as a whole. Try to look at it for what someone that really doesn't follow the sport that much would, you know what I mean? Like, give it a general idea of what it is, and I think it deserved a C+.
I tell you what, I agree with you on Austin Cindric too. That was so much fun to watch in the beginning of the race.
It was
and
amazing.
And I'll be honest, like, I don't like to put a lot of pressure on rookies and stuff. I'm the first guy to say, like, pump your brakes on someone and see how they develop. But I think if we go to as many road courses next year as we have on the schedule this year, I think he has a really good shot at winning a race in his rookie season. I mean, he performed really well at Daytona on the oval for the Daytona 500. Every race he's run so far, he's shown a lot of promise, and he's a fucking talented road racer.
Seat time. He's just gotten a lot of seat time. Penske, they're giving him that seat time, and that's a lot.
Oh yeah. How about you, Matt? What's your race grade?
Well, Chase Elliott won, so I gave it an A+. How about you, Whitey?
Mister, I don't let the winner affect my grade.
No, I gave it a B+.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, I gave it a B+. Like Chocolate Myers always says, I got that drama and that excitement that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
The passing I thought was actually pretty decent. Rain or not, I thought that there was a lot of opportunities to pass. I thought the strategy is what got me, though. I've come to really appreciate strategy races over the past few years of my life, and just acknowledging that not every race is going to be a knockout side-by-side pass and everything like that. I look to see, okay, well, is this a good strategy race? And from literally before the race even started, there was strategy going, right? With the slick. Do we go with
put
the
slicks back on? Do we keep the rain tires on? Yeah.
When do we switch them out? So there was already strategy going even in the pace laps before the race even started, which got me hooked immediately. I think we need probably another year or two to really get a good grasp on what kind of track Cota can be for stock cars. But I thought it was fun. It was fun. The strategy shook up that top 10 all day. The top 10 looked completely different. It seemed like every 20 minutes or so, the top 10 was completely different. So I thought that was a lot of fun. There was some big time wrecks that I know we're going to get into in a little bit that sucked and could have been avoided. So that kind of brought down the race grade for me a little bit. I thought the drivers were battling the rain as much as they were battling each other, which made it fun until it kind of crossed the line. So I gave it a B+. It was a hell of a first effort by NASCAR, and I look forward to see if they do go back, what happens in the future with that.
All right, I'm right in between you guys. I'm giving it a B-. I didn't think accidents aside, all accidents aside, just as a straight up road race with the different varying strategies, I gave it a B-. I thought it was pretty solid. And like I can't condemn the rain, because the rain gave us all those cool strategies to watch. It gave us those wet weather tires versus slicks in the beginning. It gave us a couple guys who were on slicks had to come back in and pit, so it threw off shuffled the lineup there. We had different fuel mileage strategies going on. I feel like at the end of stage 1, a lot of guys didn't even come in. And like, I don't know. I feel like in my head they did, or they just came in for fuel. So as a road race and a guy who loves strategy, loves fuel mileage strategy, definitely a B-. I would like to see, like Eric said earlier on, I would like to see how it's ran in completely dry conditions. We might get a completely different race altogether. It might be kind of a snoozer like the Xfinity race where one guy gets out front and he stays out front all day, or we could get some different fuel strategies going on.
I think the talent in Cup, I think that would prevent that from happening, like what happened in Infinity.
And
I really do.
The length of the Cup race too, I think brings out the natural fuel strategy in it as well. So, are a lot of guys short pitting? Are they long pitting? Like you said, I've come to really love that type of strategy race.
And you want to what, when it comes to strategy racing too, I feel like it all depends on the broadcast crew that's telling the story also. And I feel like that's where Fox lacks in it. Maybe if NBC was calling this race, it might have bumped it up in the grade for me, just because I feel like they're really good at telling fuel mileage strategy racing calls. Like they know how to get you pumped up. Jeff Burton's really good at getting you pumped up thinking about that fuel mileage. Same with Steve Letarte and Rick Allen. So maybe if it was a different crew, it would be a little higher. Factoring in the accidents and the racing in the heavy rain, I'm gonna give it a D.
Right.
I think some of the stuff we saw was absolutely unacceptable on NASCAR's part, and I know we're all going to jump into it in a minute. But let's go over what we thought was great. What was your checkers for the weekend, Matt? We'll start with you.
So yeah, my checkers was all these sponsors, they pay hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to get on the side of these race cars, right?
Yeah.
And here comes a little company called Rain-X who did not have to pay $1 yesterday, and they got all the free marketing they could. I thought Rain-X won the weekend. How they were talking about how all the teams are going to go out there and spray the inside and outside of the windshields and all that, the back windows and all that. I thought Rain-X got really, really great marketing yesterday, and I'll even say for somebody who does use Rain-X, that shit works.
It really is fantastic product.
It really is.
I got it in my truck. I have the windshield washer fluid. Yep.
Yep. And so I thought they really, if there was ever a huge winner of the weekend, it was them. I just, I try to think outside the box with my checkers and wreckers, and I just couldn't help but think about they're getting a lot of really great marketing right now. So that was my checkers.
I tell you what, too, something interesting that I believe it was Clint said during one of the practice sessions. I forget if it was Cup practice or what, but he said, you want to rely on the Rain-X as much as possible. You want to wait until the very last second to turn on that windshield wiper, because once you do, it's like game over. Your visibility is done. So Rain-X definitely coming in clutch, especially for all the rain we got down in Texas.
I'll tell you what, if any of our listeners doesn't use it, dump a gallon of it into your windshield wiper fluid, and the next time it rains, jump up on one of the highways and just drive. Don't turn the windshield wipers on, and just watch the water just bead right off. It works fantastic.
Unless you're Martin Truex Jr. and you get oil that splatters all over your windshield, and you hit the wiper, and then now you just smeared that. Oh, now you can't see.
My God.
I can see why he got into that accident, because his whole windshield was covered in oil.
Couldn't see anything.
That was bad.
All right, Eric, what was your checkers?
My checkers, I'm going to take it down. Just, this is a little personal thing, because the way the race unfolded and the way everything was going, I kind of, tried to get the most enjoyment that you can out of a race like that. And, Matt, his driver, comes away with the win, and Eric Jones is getting my checkers and his race team. Got his new t-shirt in. Let's go.
Yes. I love that shirt.
So he had to start in the back, unapproved change. So I'm like, son of a fucking bitch.
Yeah. At
a road course, never been there. You're going to the back. I'm like, this is not going to be a good day of racing for me, but I didn't let it, get the best of me and, cloud my judgment for, the show. Great. I'm like, okay, let's just see what happens here. And
plus, you've been rooting on William Byron lately, so
listen,
you got him
to
fall on.
About that enough. But to come up to P11 in that stage one from the back at a new racetrack, I was just impressed, and I'm like, okay, this race. It could be, maybe a possible top 10, top 15 here. Let's go.
Absolutely.
And as the race unfolded, all the wrecks, all the stuff, he's getting through all of that. He's missing some of these major incidents. And, come stage two,
I think he had a real
Great.
close call in that first one, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
So coming into stage 3, he spun on his own once.
Yeah.
Just going around a turn, spun once, got it back under, no damage. And then he got into a couple times with a couple other cars, and he went back to 27th, 28th again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, okay, at least, he's not going to get a DNF here. And he ended up figuring out his car and getting his car a little bit better towards the end. And he passed 6 or 7 cars there at the end. He was actually moving forward.
Yeah.
And, to finish the day P16, it doesn't sound like much, but in a day like Sunday was at Cota, a team like the 43 and Richard Petty, that's a win. That is a huge victory coming out of that day, P16. Not to shit on him, but Bubba Wallace was fighting for his first top 15 finish, and Eric Jones finished his 16th here at Cota after a shit show of a day. Like, come on, let's go. It gave me a little boost of confidence,
Eric, you gotta be happy about the fact that I'm looking at the standings now. You got to be happy about the fact that he's ahead of 2 Stewart Haas racing cars.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not going to finish where I'm used to my driver finishing, but the thing that I'm most proud of, I should say, or excited about, and I've mentioned this before on the show, he battled back through adversity. The whole team did. Normally when something wrong happens during a race, his race is done. And I know that. I'm like, they're not going to try and think that's it. They can't battle back. They're not going to fix that car. The adjustments, they can't get it right. Their day's done. Finish in P22, go home. But yesterday it showed, and this is multiple times this year, they had some shit go wrong. They battled through and they came away, with the top 20, top 15 car when they shouldn't have even been close to it. So I like when they battle back like that because they never did that in the past. So
just salvaging days.
I'm getting more and more excited for him in this 43 car as this year goes on, just for that pure fact that they are battling and trying different things and getting the most out of that car. Even if they're a 22nd place car, they're finishing P15, with a 22nd place car. That's what I like to see out of my team and out of my driver. So I had to go a little hometown hero here, and my Checkers was my own driver.
Absolutely.
A little on topic and a little off topic. Just taking a quick aside. So a couple months ago, I heard a rumor that Richard Petty Motorsports might be switching over to Toyota, and now we're constantly hearing that 2311 is looking at the possibility of adding a second car. Do you think Eric Jones jumps over to 2311, goes back into the Toyota pipeline? Or what do you think? What are you looking for with the future of Eric Jones? What are you hoping for?
I've heard that. I did, read a couple articles of that possibility. But then again, this is silly season. It's going to start happening. The Brad stuff. Some of these rumors are going to start circling around the garage area and get to some of these media outlets, and they're going to twist it whatever way they want. And. Because everyone wants to click. But to be honest with you, I think I'm done with Eric and Toyota. I think this move to Chevy into Richard Petty was a good change of scenery for him. I think he got real too comfortable at Joe Gibbs. They all knew him there. It was like he spent his entirety of his career through trucks, through Xfinity, through Cup, in Toyotas at Gibbs. So I think, I'm not saying there's bad blood there, but I'm liking this direction that they're going in. I don't know where Richard Petty's going, but if Richard Petty does decide to stay, I hope they give him another ride. Give him a partner. We need more race notes out of that team. You need at least one teammate. I feel like single car teams, you need one other person out there collecting data for you.
Or you bounce back and forth with.
You could try multiple setups every week. If one doesn't hit and one does, now you have information for the next time you go to a mile and a half. I think if anything, I'd like to see him stay at Richard Petty. Make that brand great again. Even though I'm not a big Richard Petty fan, I think he was, the most overrated driver.
He's definitely diluted his brand over the last 25, 30 years.
I'll second that, Eric. I'll second that, Eric.
Yeah. So I would just like to see, him really make a name for himself through driving that car instead of Smithfield, or Hatfield fucking being on the hood or a FedEx carrying you through. You know, like he never had that major sponsor that followed him. He's doing it all behind the wheel, and I like that.
All right. Hopefully Tide keeps signing on for races with them.
Hopefully, dude.
That'd
I got
be
the hat
fantastic.
covered, baby. Let's go.
All right, back to Cota. My checkers for the Circuit of the Americas was the fans that showed up. Listening to the pre-race show, all the parking lots on the premises were filled. They were actually pushing people down to a high school about 2 miles away and then busing them in. They endured the rain. The grandstands were packed even during the downpours, and I really, really enjoyed seeing just the enthusiasm for a new track in a new market. I thought it was fantastic. Austin is a widely and hugely growing city, and I gotta give honorable mention to the broadcast crew and the camera people for both Fox and the Performance Racing Network who are covering the race in the rain. Matt, you're putting up your hand. What's going on?
I was just gonna say, for a couple of guys, Eric and I and Whitey, as you grow into the sport and you down the road, you'll get caught in one of these where we've been caught up in, I don't know, 10,000 rain delays.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know what those fans have gone through, and it's not easy, especially when you're sitting there, you're getting poured on.
Yeah.
They were at least lucky enough where they were able to run the race, but we've been at several races where, we're sitting there in a rain delay, you're sitting in your car, you're looking at the radar, it's not going to stop raining for a couple hours. And it's just, it really wears on you. And so good for those fans for being able to tough it out and stick it out to see, at least most of the race.
Sometimes the rain delays are the funnest part of the weekend. I mean, for the 2020 Daytona 500, now 2025 Daytona 500, me, Eric, our buddy Jay, Tom, and Kyle, we made the best of it. We were hiding underneath the grandstands, underneath like the stairs, talking to some guy about short track racing. And then we went across the street and we drank at a Sunoco in the parking lot underneath the gas station for about 4 or 5 hours. We had a blast.
Yeah, come on,
Eric. Our Daytona road delay was that was fun.
God, that was epic. That was before they did the remodel. So like literally everybody went into the bathrooms. So when I tell you, everybody was elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder, sitting on coolers. You couldn't move in the bathroom. It was the heaviest rain I've been a part of to this day. Yeah. And I'm 30 years old. Heaviest rain I've ever been a part of in Daytona that day. And Matt and I, we had one of the best times in that bathroom.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
That's what I'm saying. You make some friends.
Yankees. Every other word was you Yankees, you Yankees, and we're just getting our balls busted. But by the end of the day, that guy from Georgia, man, I can't wait to go back to Georgia. Tell everybody, man, Pennsylvania's all right.
Those Yankees, they're all right.
Win for us. Yep.
I'll tell you that. Besides that was good. But like usually, like because we're at Pocono, we camp out at Pocono. There's nowhere to hide. We don't have typically we don't have RVs or anything. It's just the cab of our trucks to go sit in. And when there's 6 or 7 grown-ass men sitting in a cab of a truck when it's just downpouring, that can really put a
smell. The smell alone is just,
it's not
that was
fun.
Bristol. That was nightmares about Bristol camping.
We've been to Arizona and it's rained. We've been to Bristol and it's rained. Pocono and it's rained. Daytona and it's rained.
I think the key
this year. Goddamn it!
I think the key is can't go to races.
Dude, I went to Atlanta, and that year they changed the rules to if it's 40 degrees or 50 degrees and colder, you get your money back for your tickets. It was freezing that race, and me and my buddy, we're walking around in cutoffs and cutoff shorts because we're from Pennsylvania.
It was
7. We're like, it's good. Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be warm, and we're like, hey, it's 50 out. This is 80 compared to what we were just in. Everyone's looking at us like we're lunatics, and they ended up changing the rules to if it's 50 degrees or cold, you could get your money back. And we're just like, weather and us, it's just bad. Bad
You'll
combination.
see this year, Whitey. You'll see a Pocono.
It'll
rain.
Well, yeah. What was it? I think it was like 2019 spring race. I went to meet you guys at your tailgate outside, and it was middle of June, 54 degrees and raining and misty.
Yep.
They got the
That's
race in
me.
on time,
That's because
though.
I was at the race.
It's because you were at the race.
Yep.
Matt, I got your Pocono ticket right here. I don't think I'm going to give it to you. I want nice sunshine for the doubleheader.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, let's get into our records. And for the first time in podcast history, all three of us have the same record collectively. It goes to NASCAR for not calling that race earlier on.
Yeah, I mean, it's the easy thing for me to sit back and say as a Chase fan, I'm so happy they didn't call it, because he ended up winning, but
Yeah.
it was reckless that they let that race carry on after the Harvick, Bell, and Bubba wreck, that first big wreck.
Yeah.
And then immediately after, they came back racing. What happens? Truex runs into the back of Michael. Was it Michael McDowell?
It was Michael McDowell, yeah.
Runs in the back of Michael McDowell. Cole Custer comes plowing in behind him, and then as Cole Custer's getting out of the car,
Which is
for
on fire.
Christ's sakes, there's cars sliding around him. I mean, we could have seen something
Ricky
really,
Stenhouse
really dangerous.
Jr. I couldn't tell if Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was trying to warm his tires up or he was trying to avoid. I think he was just trying to avoid it.
No, he was avoiding, dude. I said that in that tag.
Yeah.
There's a picture. Custer is sitting on the hood, getting out of his car. And was that Stenhouse, Whitey? I didn't know what car it was.
Yeah.
But they were coming right at him as he's sitting on his car getting out. It's on fire. And he had to swerve last minute out of the way. A couple seconds earlier, if there's still a little miss from a car in front of, if that was Ricky, Cole Custer, he'd be obliterated. He'd be like that kid in Willy Wonka when he gets floating in a million pieces above there,
Yeah.
He's all
Yeah, we could have seen something really, really tragic yesterday. Is the point? And there was no need for it. I just think NASCAR was in a situation they've never been in before. They didn't really know what the right answer was. And
Yeah.
they went with the wrong one, unfortunately. Now they know for the future going forward, obviously. But man, we could have learned a really tough lesson the hard way yesterday, and we kind of did.
So, we've had two races so far that this season that Kevin Harvick has said were some of the most dangerous things he's done in a stock car, and it was both due to visibility issues. It was Bristol Dirt with the sun and the dust, and then this past week at Cota. Who was all involved in that first wreck? Bubba got into the back of Harvick. Who got into Christopher Bell? I can't remember who the fourth person was.
I don't remember either. There was so much that. Was it Blaney?
I think it was Blaney's whole back end got fucked up, too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
They all
right.
got into Blaney.
Okay,
I
so
think
those
Bell
two got
was
into each
Blaney.
other. And
Yeah.
it was all right in the same turn.
And then Harvick's radio said, okay, he was anticipating a crash. He starts slowing down.
Yeah.
That's when the other cars, they did not. And that's
So-
when the whole,
I have a clip of Harvick now explaining the situation if you want to take a listen.
It's the most unsafe thing I've ever done in a race car by a lot. You can't see anything down the straightaways. These cars were not built to run in the rain. And when you can't see, my spotter said, check up, because he thought he saw two cars wrecking. I let off, and the guy behind me hit me wide open because he never saw me. So it's unbelievable that we're out there doing what we're doing because we're in race cars that aren't meant to do this. And if you can't see going down the straightaway, it's absolutely not safe, not even close.
So what do you guys think about that?
Well, I personally have a big problem with what Kevin Harvick just said there.
Yeah.
He said it's the most dangerous thing that NASCAR has ever done, and that's just not true because they let Cody Ware race every weekend. I had to get that joke in there. I had to get that joke in there.
super speedways a year. Like,
Yeah. I thought you were going to say something serious.
The visibility
No.
thing, I could see.
Yeah.
No. Kevin Harvick, in all kidding aside, he's not wrong with
Yeah.
what he's saying there. It was super dangerous, and he's gone on some rants before. Some I've agreed with, some I haven't, but this one I do. I agree with him on that.
Yeah. So, and that was the first accident of the day. Couple laps later, we get the second big hit. Of course, we explained it was Martin Truex Jr. got into the back of Michael McDowell. I sent you guys a video of the in-car slowed down it was like 0.25 times speed. and there was literally like 4 or 5 frames
so quick
that blinking light was visible. It was so quick. And then of course Cole Custer.
Martin said that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Martin said that in his interview when he got out of the infield care center.
Well, let's take a listen.
It happened so quick. Yeah, go ahead.
Huge hit. We just heard from Cole Custer. From your perspective, I mean, how do you describe the racing and just that moment for you, Martin?
Oh, well, I mean, the only way to describe it is you can't see anything. So, I mean, it's you're just mashing the gas and going through the gears on the backstretch praying that nobody's going to be there. And all of a sudden, I seen a tail light flash, and it was already, I was already in through him. So, I mean, it happens that fast, going that fast. And then my first thought was once I hit that guy, just stay in the gas, try to keep going, because I knew they were coming from behind. And literally next thing I know, I get drilled. So, I mean...
And I thought that was the most interesting part of it all, too. He knew that he had to stay in the gas because if he slowed down at all, the same thing is going to happen to him. And, of course, it did. And you can't blame Cole Custer on that one.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all good. It didn't hurt as much as I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't. It's just you can't see anything. I mean, it's pretty bad. I mean, you can't see a foot in front of your car. And, I was just rolling down the backstretch, and I haven't seen a replay.
And I was surprised that Cole Custer wasn't as banged up as he was, because when you take
Cole Custer, dude, he looks like
he's got that thick neck.
He's stocky.
He's got a nice thick neck.
But could definitely take a rollover, dude.
So as I was watching the race, of course I'm listening to Tyler Reddick's radio, and the spotters are talking about the accident, and then all of a sudden I look up and I see it happen. I just go, holy shit. And then of course, he smacked that inside wall, and it was hard to tell if it was a soft barrier there, or it kind of looked like a concrete Jersey barrier you would see on the side of a highway.
I think they did have foam behind
it was a foam saver barrier, but just the way it was colored, and like the way it was shaped, it looked real bad. And then my girlfriend's like, "Oh man, I hope Cole's all right." I go, "Nah, he's got a thick neck. He'll be okay." And of course, we saw the window nets, and he jumped out. But to your point, he jumped out because the car was on fire, and then there's still cars coming down. He could have been killed. He could have been hit by a car, and you couldn't blame anyone else besides the weather, just because you can't see in front of you.
And I will say this as well, as much as we just gave, NASCAR our records, I do like that they're trying new things.
Oh, absolutely.
The execution hasn't been there, but now we're learning for the future, it's similar circumstances with the Bristol dirt race. And now with the rain yesterday at Cota, it's the visibility. Now they know, hopefully they know how to handle it going forward. And if it's raining that hard, just let's just call it a day, or pause until it becomes more of a drizzle and then get back out there. But I do like the fact that they're learning. We can't have it both ways. We can't ask NASCAR to give us new things and not to be afraid to try new things and then complain when that new thing goes wrong.
Doesn't work right.
So
right out
we
the
have
gate.
to keep an open mind. We have to realize that this wasn't their intended ending on how they wanted yesterday to look, but now we know going forward that it can't happen like that.
Absolutely. And like you said, you really, now we know, now you have the knowledge. We'll see what NASCAR does with it in the future. Do they run when it's just a mist, and anything over a mist, then you bring the cars down pit road and you red flag the race until visibility, because it's not so much the rain that was causing the issue. It's the rooster tail coming off the back of the car. And that's easy to see. You could see that happening. And I feel like once you see, like, the officials see that, that's when they should have thrown the red flag. Of course, we're in uncharted territories. We're at a brand new track, a lot of hype around the track. And kind of like,
and they never ran in the race before.
Yeah. And kind of like how Bristol dirt went, you're just you're trying to make it go as it goes, It's
trial and error at fast speeds.
I tell you what, I was impressed by a couple of guys. We talked about Austin Cindric. I was impressed by Chase Briscoe's performance. Even before he broke the top 10, they showed him making a couple passes on guys in the S turns, and I was like, man, Chase Briscoe really running well today, especially when his Stuart Haas Racing teammates weren't having the best day. This was when Harvick was still in the race. He was running in like, I think 28th or something. Of course, he was one of those guys that came in for slicks and then had to come back in to put the wet weather tires on again. Ross Chastain with the top 5. Did not expect to see Ross Chastain in the mix as much as he was. And you want to know what? His car looked beat to hell. Did you notice there was a giant hole punched in the, I guess it was the driver's side headlight. And then he was all banged up, but he was running pretty well. Good to see Ross Chastain running well.
How about we can't go this whole podcast without mentioning Kurt Busch slicing between Austin Dillon and his brother Kyle.
Amazing.
How did that happen?
Oh, like, I want to know, like, because I've watched it over and over again, and I tried to see if he nicked
at them at all. Yeah,
touched one of those cars.
Had
like,
to.
It was
just the angle alone didn't make any sense.
His brother was like a certain angle. Then that was the only plausible way that he could have gotten through there. It was insane.
Like
he split the hairs, and like when I'm saying, like, for anyone who didn't see it, Kurt Busch was hydroplaned and he went in between Austin Dillon and his brother Kyle Busch, and when he went in between them, all 3 cars were moving, at the same time.
Yeah.
So he must have missed each one of them by an inch or less, going 100 miles an hour. So it was unbelievable.
So for people listening on the podcast, you're not going to see this visual, but I've got some toy cars in my hand for the YouTube audience. So the 2 cars, I gotta jump back. I got Mr. Excitement Jimmy Spencer, and I got Jeff Burton in the 31. Now the 2 cars were making the turn, and it was literally like Kurt Busch was like this way. He made a T in between the 2 cars. It was absolutely insane. And I wanted to play with my toys. So I'd show you guys that.
A 31-year-old or 32. How old are you? 32?
I think I'm 32. You know what? It's getting to the point where I forget. I gotta do math. I think I'll be 33 in July.
We're all 30-plus-year-old children, is what we are.
And I bought
in my 30s. What I say. Yeah, I'm in my 30s.
I'm in my 30s. And I bought
what it is, I don't know. I'm in my 30s.
I bought these toys a month ago. Those that haven't been in the collection for a long time. So, but other than that, I thought, you know what? I thought we saw some good promise for the future at Cota, and hopefully NASCAR takes what they learned from the wet weather, and we move forward in it. Instead of moving forward, though, let's move back to the back of the pack. Last place finisher, one Justin Haley. Here on the Bump and Run podcast, we like to highlight the last place guy because everyone talks about who won. We want to talk about who came in last. It was Justin Haley. Started his day off well, charged his way up to 13th place before some steering issues took him out on lap 12. Of course, Justin Haley, an Xfinity Series regular. He has 1 Cup win under his belt. We talked about it earlier on in the year because this is his second last place of the season, but he won a rain-shortened summer race at Daytona. So the rain playing into not only the winner today, but played into the last place person's only win in the Cup Series. I made that work, right?
There you go. Perfect.
All right, guys.
Seamless.
You guys want to jump into the pick a lane segment?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. The choose cone is out. You can pick the lane on which way you want to go. I'm throwing out the question. Do we go back to Cota, the Circuit of the Americas? Did you see enough that you want to see more in the future, or do we cut our losses and go somewhere else?
I'll take this. Yeah, I say yes. We can't be deterred by what happened with the rain. That would be unfair to Cota, right? So
yeah,
I think we have to at least give it one more shot to see how it would play out without the rain drama, and then maybe make a determination after that. See a clean weekend of racing, and then make a decision. You know, one thing I did notice yesterday or all weekend as I was kind of watching all the action was I looked into Cota, the actual facility itself, and it looks like it's a world-class facility. It looks like an awesome place to go. I don't know if you guys noticed, but right behind that huge spotters tower, there was an amphitheater. There was an actual like concert amphitheater there, and then behind that they had like a soccer stadium.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, there was a lot going on right in that little area. So it's obviously a world-class facility. I just think we have to give it another shot when there's not, you know, a typhoon coming through.
Yeah, it's definitely a world-class facility. It was built in the last 10 years. I can't remember exactly the year.
Oh, was it that new?
It's like brand new. And apparently I heard this on Track with Danielle Trotta and Larry McReynolds on Sirius XM Channel 90's NASCAR radio today. Apparently, I forget what the rating is, but it's such and such rated where it has like the perfect amount of drainage or something. So literally if we got the amount of rain anywhere else, it would have been a complete washout. It was not as bad as it could have been at Cota because it's such a brand new facility. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Eric, do you say we go back to Cota, give it another try?
Yeah, like I said, that Xfinity race made me wonder what it would have been like on Sunday if it went dry for the whole day.
Yeah.
Like Matt touched on earlier too, some of these real hard brake zones, real U-turn, like those couple of those U-turns. I think it was like turn 11 was one of them where like they have to super slow down, going from 180 on a long straightaway down to like 30 miles an hour to make that turn.
Absolutely insane.
Right then and there, I was following, you know, some of the different lines that the drivers were going. I know Larson was going wide, cutting real soon, so he had straight drive off. And then there were other cars. I noticed Logano and someone else who was running well. They were going to the inside, really going over that turtle, bumping that and angling their car a different way they were trying to get the inside. So there was strategy and good passing zones, like Matt said, in those high braking areas. That's where you're going to pass.
Yeah.
That's where you could say, hey, this guy's doing this, I'm going to do that. And I would like to see how that would work out without the weather being involved, because I think you would have saw a lot more people going a little wider, but they knew if they went too wide, the grip wasn't there, that standing water, they were in the gravel, which that was another story too, where I think it was Newman went through the gravel.
Yeah. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was just going flying everywhere.
Absolutely insane when that gravel went flying.
Even during that Kurt Busch save where he threaded the needle in between his brother and Austin Dillon, he went through the gravel, kept going to hit the grass to keep the grip going because there's no grip in that gravel. I think NASCAR Chasm, he tweeted, if Kurt Busch was driving that boat that was stuck in the Suez Canal, it would have never got stuck. That's amazing. NASCAR Chasm's the best. Whoever runs that account is a genius.
He was at the race.
He
was at the race, and some fans were like, got pictures with him, and they would all put like a emoji over their face.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
But I would definitely like to see them go back there. And this is my opinion now that we're getting through this, and we've kind of talked it through a little bit. I think without those long straightaways, we get that whole race in, and there's absolutely zero issues. The straightaways is where the rooster tails were. The straightaways is where the visibility and the accidents happen.
Yeah, it was that backstretch straightaway.
You go somewhere where there's not those straightaways like that, the race is fine. I think the rain wouldn't have been a problem. It's, those are the dangerous parts of the racetrack. And, we saw them bring the Air Titans out and just dry that part of the racetrack, which in turn, it helped it out. So, I think we could give Cota another shot for sure.
Okay. With that, you're kind of setting up my next question. But I agree. I think we go back next year, especially with that next gen car with the independent rear suspension. I think the cars are going to be much more nimble there. It should be interesting. And the most important thing, the fans showed up. The fans showed up in the rain.
Reward them.
And you want to know what? As long as the fans keep coming, keep putting on races. But moving on back to the wet weather discussion, would you rather see a wet weather race or would you rather it postponed until Monday? Now, I'm not saying so much as the huge like downpours we saw. But if a race was close to being washed out, but it was a short track, say, they're doing those short track wet weather tire tests and it's a miss, do you say, yeah, throw them out on track while it's still wet, see how it plays out? Or, I guess we have a couple different lanes really you could go down on. If it's a downpour, would you want to see them postpone the race until Monday, or do you get them back on track as soon as possible with wet weather tires?
I think it all depends on what the forecast is. Like, if the next day, let's just say it be Monday, it's going to be a nice, beautiful day, stop the race and go to Monday. Because you're going to get the best product. I'm a fan that goes to a lot of races. Yes, do I want to see the race happen? Of course I do. But do I also want to see the best product on the racetrack? I would rather that than get the race in. I guess that's just my bias because I go to a lot of racetracks, so I could see other people being the opposite. Like if you never go to any races and it's the Daytona 500 and it's pouring rain and you see a glimpse of hope in the radar, you want them to go back out there. You've never been to a race.
Yeah.
Understandable for those fans. But as someone that's been to a lot of races, I would rather see the best product on the racetrack. And I always plan in for that Monday or Tuesday rain. So I'm going to be there.
Absolutely.
But like you said, if it's just like a little mist, if it's something like that, I think the rain tires that they ran proved that could be a viable option.
Yeah.
But to me, I would always go with the best product that you could put out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, for me, it's all circumstantial. I definitely don't want to see what we saw yesterday again. That was just, we crossed a line. I think we were in way over our heads with that. But short track, it's the conditions are damp. It stopped raining. Maybe instead of it taking an hour and a half to dry the track, we get the jet dryers out there to get all that standing water off the track. If it's just damp, it's just a little drizzle. Get them back out there, let them run. If the tires work, why not? But if I had my
like short tracks only, like don't even think about going to a normal oval. I'm anti-rain when it comes to that. 100% anti-rain.
Okay.
Short track,
road courses and short tracks, absolutely. But in a perfect world, we don't have a Mother Nature problem, and we run them under the sun.
Oh, absolutely. I kind of agree. I feel like it's very circumstantial when it comes to road courses and short tracks. Damp. I would say damp. Any standing water, no way. Push it off. Get the air dryers out there. See if you can get the race in the day. But I wouldn't push safety, and that's what it comes down to. It's a safety issue. I wouldn't try and push someone's safety just to get a race in a day. Push it off till Monday. I kind of like when races get pushed off till Monday. Like you said, Eric, I always take that extra day off if I'm going to the race. And if I'm watching it, if I'm watching at home, well, I'm usually probably watching it at work, and that gives me an excuse not to do anything.
Oh yeah, love a good race at work. But did you guys look at the forecast? I didn't. What did today look like in Texas? Like, what if they did after that Harvick incident? Was it still going to be a shit show today there? Like, what was the forecast like there? Because after that first Harvick incident, if they said let's pack it up, they knew what the forecast was. They knew the circumstance. They knew it was going to get better than what it was. They knew the complaints the drivers were having about visibility. I don't think the drivers complained at all about how the cars handled on the racetrack with the wet weather tires. It was more the visibility thing, as Harvick stated. So I think the cars, everyone's like, oh, these heavy cars are not meant for racing there, like Harvick did say. I don't think that was really the circumstances. I just think it was legit. You couldn't see anything. So if the weather today was beautiful in Texas, at Cota, stop it after that first wreck and just say, you know what? Let's go tomorrow.
Looking at the weather right now in Texas for Austin, there was a little bit of rain in the 1 p.m. hour and then clear skies until 7 p.m. our time.
Right.
So they could have gotten it this afternoon.
They could have gotten it on in the afternoon. All right. Earlier on in the news segment, I told you that the governor of North Carolina is proposing $30 million to be split between Charlotte, Rockingham, and North Wilkesboro racetracks in North Carolina. Of course, that is some government money coming from the from the feds, and it's supposed to be. Those damn feds. It's supposed to be used for tourism in the state of North Carolina. Of course, Charlotte Motor Speedway, a huge tourist destination. We have 2 races there. They do a whole bunch of other stuff for the community too. I think Charlotte's really cool with their off time. They'll have like Friday night movie nights where the community can come and watch a drive-in movie. But they're giving $10 million to North Wilkesboro Raceway and Rockingham Raceway. Now, North Wilkesboro hasn't run a cup race in 25 years. It's in complete disrepair to the point where it's being estimated that it would need $100 million to be renovated, to put into the track, to race cup series races there. Now, $10 million to me, kind of a drop in the bucket. Rockingham, another track. We haven't been there in years. I think the last time they tried some races in the early 2010s, and people didn't really show up. It was ARCA races and stuff like that. Do you think that the money should go to speedways that are closed, that people are trying to bring back? There's a huge movement for North Wilkesboro where they have saved the track. We talked about a couple weeks ago, Marcus Lemonis, the owner of Camping World, said, oh, if they get a Cup Series race, he'll build a Camping World in North Wilkesboro County for the track. Do you guys feel like the money is well spent going to tracks we haven't been to repair them? Or do you think it would be better to just even take money and invest it in a new market? We had a new race in a hot, big city in Texas. Austin is a quickly growing city. Do we go back to North Wilkesboro, Wilkes County, with less than 100,000 people that live there? Or do we try to get into bigger markets like Nashville? You know, what's your thoughts on that?
As far as like this particular scenario where North Carolina is getting the money and they have to divvy it up.
Yeah.
I would like to see them work on one track, take the money and put it all towards one track.
Yeah.
Right. There's a reason why these racetracks went away in the first place. It's an oversaturated market down there. You have Charlotte, North Wilkesboro, Rockingham, Martinsville, Richmond, Darlington, Atlanta, all way too close to each other. So, like I said earlier in the season after the Bristol Dirt Race, take that North Wilkesboro track, turn it into the premier stock car dirt track, and do that with it. And I'm not backing down from that. I think that would be a stellar thing to do with that track.
I agree. I think that'd be really cool.
Destination. Yeah.
I agree. I would like that, do the one track, like you said, make, I don't know if we talked about it on here or just via, our text groups and stuff. But the small dirt track feel of just like a couple bleachers around a half-mile racetrack, like keep it that way. Don't go, these big, keep it more.
Make it old school.
Make it old school. And that's where I'm going to go play devil's advocate and say, I like that they're bringing back these old racetracks because they're doing a lot of stuff to piss off these old tradition-based race fans.
Yeah.
How about we give them a little bit too?
Something to bring back.
Because something to bring back. And two, I was thinking about this when you sent the rundown over, Whitey, and, I just think it goes, you talk about markets. What the fuck is Pocono, bro? Pocono ain't no market. But come race weekend, it becomes the largest city in Pennsylvania on race day. So, that doesn't matter. You're going to bring people there. And let me end my playing devil's advocate with this. People after this pandemic realized that life is fragile. They realized what they have could be taken away in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So after being cooped up for close to 2 years, I think now is the time that fans will go to anything new. I think they'll go to these places because it's something exciting.
Yeah.
And they know that, hey, guess what? This might not happen ever again. We might get 2 races here and it fails. Let's go and say we were a part of that. I think this is a perfect time to open up a new racetrack because people are dying to get out and do things and, just live a little bit after being cooped up for 2 years. So I just
USA.
Yeah.
USA. USA. USA.
Now, but you said something right there. You said even if it fails, I mean, you're throwing a lot of money at something that could easily fail, especially
that's the federal government saying, here's a bone, you fucked. Go try to make this work. If it fails, it fails. Who gives a fuck? That was money that was handed to them.
See, but that money could go to a school or a road or something.
Why does Charlotte need money?
Honestly, I don't know.
Charlotte money and say fuck Charlotte and give it to combine that for one of those other racetracks. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if this is money given to you, take a risk with it. Why not?
Also,
you know what I mean? Why give it to a track that's already there?
Yeah.
Because you know that they succeeded through this all. These other ones didn't succeed for a reason. And, I think now with these younger fan bases, with Bubba, all the there were people and fans that they showed, like the Cheetah. He's a wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was there with his girlfriend or wife. Like there's a big draw right now in the racing world.
Yeah.
I Am Athlete, Fred Taylor, Brandon Marshall.
Dude, fantastic.
It's a fantastic show. And they are putting a spotlight on the sport. They're getting a diverse group of people from all different parts of this world, creed, color, gender, it doesn't matter. It's buzzing.
Yeah.
Just like, I will agree with this, Matt, hockey. You get a couple people, Taylor Lewan, famous football player, Tennessee Titan, goes to the Preds game, and he's doing beer chugs out of the Catfish, shirtless, in the stands. And, it gets tweeted out, it goes viral, and,
it makes you want to be a part of that.
Yes. So a bunch of other athletes, a bunch of other people that are in the sports world were like, hey, rumor has it, I got to attend a hockey game.
Yeah.
And I think that is happening with NASCAR, with all of this publicity, with all of this, and I'll even throw Barstool Sports in the mix.
Yeah.
They get fans, they get the young crowd, even if they don't become lifelong fans, guess what they're going to do? They're going to buy a ticket. The race.
Now,
I'll even look at what happened with us really quick. And we'll finish that topic on this. Look at what happened with our group of friends. If you told me a year, 2 years, 3 years ago that we would have been able to get 16 people in a fantasy NASCAR league, I would have told you to get lost. But we've gotten our friends into it, and just by taking them to a race or having them listen to this podcast, and more and more people are getting on board, and I love it. I love that fact. We need to grow our sport. It's the reason why we're doing this podcast.
Now here's the thing, though. You make a lot of great points about new people coming to the sport and getting out there and seeing a race. Now, where are you more likely to see a race? Are people gonna travel to see a Chicago street race somewhere where they could dump some money into that? Or are you going to get people to go to fucking Wilkes County, North Carolina with a population of 68,000 people? It's literally in the middle of nowhere, Carolina.
County, North Carolina.
Wilkes County,
it's
North
Carolina.
Okay.
It's the heart of NASCAR. I ain't going to fucking Chicago to see a metal bean and my NASCAR driver drive around it. Fuck that. I'm going to Chicago for a street race. Street race is not fucking NASCAR. Street races. Get it out of here.
You want to go to the heart of NASCAR? Go to Charlotte then. It's right down the road from Wilkes County. There's no reason to dump money into North Wilkesboro Speedway. There hasn't been a race there in 25 years. The grandstands are falling apart. $10 million doesn't clean the shit out of the bathrooms that's been left there since 1996. There's 60,000 people in that county. There are 500,000 people in the Wyoming Valley. You say Pocono isn't a market? We have 10 times the amount of people in the Wyoming Valley than Wilkes County has, and we get the grandstands filled. And
45 minutes away from that. What are you talking about? There's
from the Wyoming
people that live in the woods.
I'm just saying. I think it's a waste of money to even consider throwing 10. What are you gonna do?
Street course is the worst idea that NASCAR could ever do. Fuck a street course.
Run a street.
Trying to be.
Run a street course in North Carolina. Pave the roads and run a street course there. That's my position. I think
tweeted something out today that I love. He goes, you know what? At a certain point, I think I wrote it down here. NASCAR keeps morphing away from its core into something else. Tradition means nothing anymore, and to some, that is the most important thing to them.
Yeah.
And guess what? You have to go. There's a give and a take. You want new, but you got to keep the old too.
Yeah.
Tradition means I think you'll get someone more to a traditional race rather than some gimmick fucking street race in Chicago.
All right.
What are we? We're NASCAR. What is NASCAR? What are we trying to be? What are we trying to be?
If it was viable, if they were going to make money, it was viable. SMI would have did it 15 years ago. They wouldn't have let the track rot in hell in the middle of fucking woods. If they were going to make money, they're throwing $10 million down the drain, and that's $10 million from the United States taxpayer. That's not the state of North Carolina's tax money. That's our tax money. Pennsylvania tax money is going to pay for some bullshit track in North of Wilkesboro that hasn't been open for 25 years.
You know what I'm going to love after this conversation? Whitey eating his fucking words in about 2
It's never
3
going
years
to happen. It's never going to happen. They're probably going to give him $10 million to tear the fucking place down.
Holy shit.
Why don't you go watch F1 then? If you want a road course, this is NASCAR, bro. At what point does NASCAR become not NASCAR anymore?
I don't know.
What is NASCAR versus IMSA versus F1 versus Indy? Why are we trying to be like other things? We are our own entity. At what point are we moving into something just not NASCAR anymore?
Listen, I understand people want short tracks. Build a new short track. Build a new short track complex. They're doing it in California. They're tearing down Auto Club. They're selling all the property to build fucking condominiums. And then they're putting a short track there. That's what they should be doing in Chicago. They're trying to close Chicagoland. Well, they're selling off all that land to developers around there. Build a short track there. Why waste money in the middle of North Carolina's Wilkes County where there's nobody there? And like Matt said, you're in the middle of Charlotte. You have Martinsville in Virginia, Richmond. You have Darlington. Like, there's so much other options.
You say there's another race coming to town? Who's going to be there?
People show up for the first one, and then they won't show up ever again.
So a couple things here, because we're running late on time. The Pittsburgh Penguins are on playoff television right now. So a couple things here. One, somewhere right now when Mark Reilly listens to this, He's going to be standing and applauding Eric Dovin right there. I think you speak for the veteran fans right there. Whitey, I can see what you're saying as well. The second thing I'll say is when we decided to make up this segment, the Pickle Lane segment, that's the kind of spirit we had in mind, the debating spirit. So I love the passion out of both of you.
You need that.
That's fantastic to see. I loved every second of that.
And we'll see where it goes from here. We'll see if there's any developments. Again, this is just a proposal by the governor. It has to be approved by all sorts of boards and whatnot. And if you'd like to follow the Save the Speedway Twitter account, it's on there. I follow it. I see what they post. I think they're all delusional, but I get it. I get it.
I will agree with that, Whitey. I'll agree.
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
They're trying to say too many of them. Penn scored. Let's go.
All right, let's wrap this up. We're moving on. Speaking of North Carolina, we're heading to Charlotte for the Coke 600. But first, trucks are going to be on track Friday night, 8:30 FS1 for the North Carolina Educational Lottery. Maybe they could take the $30 million and give it to the North Carolina schools. I think that'd be a better use of the federal tax dollars. Xfinity Series on track Saturday, 1 p.m. on FS1 for the Alsco Uniform 300. And of course, Cup Series on track Sunday night, 6 p.m. on the mother station Fox for the longest race of the year, the Coca-Cola 600. We don't have a top 10 lined up yet because, again, this week, we have practice and qualifying for the Coke 600. Friday, we have practice 7 p.m. before the truck race and qualifying Saturday morning, 11:05. I'm very excited. I can't wait. But let's jump into our picks. Of course, this past week, I picked Kyle Busch. He got me 39 points. Eric picked his buddy William Byron. He got him 26 points. Of course, William Byron got rear-ended early on in the race.
He had another top 10 100% if he didn't get fucking smashed.
He definitely did. And, of course, the big winner this week was Matt with Chase. He got him 49 points. So, Matt, you get to go first. But before we make our picks, do you want to go over the stats for the Coke 600?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I'll say is, for whatever reason, I don't know, I guess it's because maybe it's a crown jewel race or whatever. The Coke 600 doesn't always put on the best racing, but I always get so excited for this race. Maybe because it's the kickoff to summer. It's it's a Sunday night race.
It's a holiday weekend. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance.
There's a whole weekend filled with grilling.
We have 4 stages. It goes late into the night on a Sunday.
Absolutely. And of course it's Memorial Day. So what the whole weekend is for remembering our veterans. So you got to keep that in mind as well. With all that being said, I'm excited for the Coke 600. I love it. A couple stats here. The average finish inside the top 10, you've got Martin Truex Jr. and Chase Elliott. And actually, I digress. I did the last 4 races like I always do. One from 2018, one from 2019, and then we ran 2 last year. Yeah. So with that being said, Martin Truex Jr. and Chase Elliott have an average finish of 4.5. Brad Keselowski with a 7.8 and Kyle Busch with a 9.3. Those are your only 4 drivers that have an average finish inside the top 10 in the last 4 races.
All right.
The laps led, Kyle Busch 456 laps led. Alex Bowman 223 laps led. I thought that was interesting. And then Martin Truex Jr. with 203 laps led, and then everyone else is down in the double digits. And then wins, you have Kyle Busch back in 2018, Martin Truex Jr. in 2019, and then Brad and Chase last year both won a race there. So with that being said, I'll go into my pick. You boys remember back in 2016, Whitey, I don't know if you will, Eric, you probably will. It was dominated by one man. He led 392 out of 400 laps. Someone none of us picked since Whitey picked him to win at Martinsville 7 races ago. Someone who has the most races on the season. I've got to go with Martin Truex Jr. here.
Oh, okay. Little MTJ.
Wow.
I'm surprised. I thought
the minute I heard you say that 2016 race, Matt, I'm like, no, he's not. He's not. This tends to be a Hendrick Motorsports track.
I was going to say, I figured you would have picked Hendrick Motorsports.
I'm like, you're not going Hendrick here? I'm like, whoa, he's being risky here. I like it, though, Matt. I like it. I like it.
Martin Truex Jr. for me.
Well, I'm really surprised. I thought you were going to pick one of the Hendrick guys. I thought you were going to go with Larson, so that's who I'm going to go with. I think the Coke 600 is a race for veterans. I think Larson has been killing it on 1.5-mile racetracks. I think he's got the endurance to put into it, and I think he's going to get a first place finish after his second place finish out in Cota.
I'm going to go with, I wanted to go Hendrick and I was going to go Larson, but, every time I pick Larson, he can't finish a race. He just doesn't know how to close those races out. So to me, he's going to have a good race. Don't get me wrong. He's going to be battling up there, top 3 for sure. But I just don't trust Larson up to this point until he starts finishing, winning multiple races. I don't trust him, but I'm going to go follow Matt's suit here, and I'm going to say that no, I'm not going to go that way. I'm saying he's going back to back. I'm taking Chase Elliott.
Oh, okay.
All right. I thought you were going to go with Kyle Busch there, but you pulled a Lee Corso on us. Not so fast, my friend.
Yep. I was going to go Kyle Busch, but I'm like, you know what? Larson can't get it done, and Chase. Usually Hendrick's it there at Charlotte, so I'm going to go back-to-back victories for the number 9 car.
In my head, I was debating between Larson and Byron. I feel like Byron's going to have a great day.
I think so too. I should have. I'm sticking with
Byron.
Yeah,
I'm sticking with Martin Truex Jr. But Yeah, I'm sticking with MTJ, but my gut is telling me William Byron's going to win
Yeah,
this race.
me too.
I think William Byron's going to dominate this race. It's just a weird feeling I have.
So
I had people over on Saturday, and I would say 4 people came up to me and were like, "Oh, so how's you and Willie B's relationship going? Oh, when you getting a William Byron flag?
Yeah.
Oh, you got an Eric Jones shirt because it came in that day. My shirt got on, and he's like, "Oh, what is that? A William Byron shirt?" I'm like, "Dude, come on, dude, I'm getting shit."
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Nothing wrong with backing a strong horse in the race, though.
It's
you know,
respect, right? It's respect.
All right, the playoff picture so far, we are 14 races in, officially over halfway done with the regular season, and we have 11 different winners. Michael McDowell, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr. with 3 wins on the season, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Alex Bowman, 2 wins on the season, Keselowski, Kyle Busch, and Chase Elliott. Can Martin Truex get that 4th win? Will Kyle Larson get the number deuce? Will Chase Elliott go back-to-back? We will find out this Sunday night, 6 p.m. on Fox for the longest race of the year, the Coca-Cola 600. And we'll break it all down Memorial Day, a Monday night for you here on the Bump and Run podcast. For Matt, the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I am Michael D. White saying good night.